Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Spring Clean Week Live Lesson Day 2. I'm very excited to have everyone join us today. I hope that some of you were able to join us yesterday, where we looked at some amazing poetry. And we're going to have a look just now to see how much you remember from yesterday. Don't worry if you weren't here, though. That's okay. You can watch on our website. The recording is there, and you can make your own poem as well. But right now, I have a couple questions for you before we get started today's lesson. How much do you remember about litter and waste? We'll start the day with a quick quiz. So our first question is, how much of our household waste could be recycled? That's things that could go in the recycling, not whether they do or not, right? So if you think it's around 4 out of 10 items, so that's about 40%, a little bit less than half, put 2 hands up. And if you think it's, nobody saw that, right? And if you think it's around 6 out of 10 items, so a bit more than half, put 1 hand up. And if you think it's lots, maybe 8 out of 10 items, 80%, put a hand on your head. Let's see. What do you think it could be? Bit less than half, bit more than half, or almost everything? See if you can remember. And we'll have a look at the answer. It is, drumroll please. Ooh, Mrs. Dawson's class thinks it's almost everything. Lots of people think it's almost 80%, just about everything. And you're right. More than 80% of the waste that we produce at home could be recycled, which means only 2 out of every 10 things that we put in the bin, things that we produce as waste, should go into the landfill. We should be recycling almost everything that we can. Right, let's try another one. Ooh, here's a tricky one. What is the minimum number of words that you need to make a poem? So what's the smallest number of words you would need? Yesterday, we had a brilliant lesson from Joseph Coelho on writing poetry about recycling. And if you were in yesterday's lesson, you remember that everyone worked together to create a really cool poem about recycling. If you haven't watched it yet, you should go and watch the recording because the way the poem was created was very clever. I enjoyed that very much. In yesterday's lesson, he told us what the minimum number of words you need to make a poem. How short can a poem be? If you think it's only 1 word, put 2 hands up. If you think you need at least 5 words, put 1 hand up. And if you think you need about 10 words, put your hand on your head. How small can a poem be? What do you think? I've got a few people saying only 1 word, and some are saying you need about 5. Poems are interesting things, aren't they? Because you really have a lot of creativity. Let's look at the answer. Oh, lots of people saying 5 as well. Let's see if you're right. Only 1. We only need 1 word to write a poem. That's amazing. So let's write a 1-word poem right now, based on one of the suggestions from yesterday. Let's have a try. This suggestion came in from 4th primary school. So let's use that one. Please add your suggestions to the chat for a 1-word poem based on this long title. That day I accidentally recycled something. What do you think should go after that? That day I accidentally recycled. What could we put after that to make a poem? Mrs. Connell's class says paper. Miss Bromley's class said a friend. Mrs. Dawson's class says gran. That day I accidentally recycled granny. Earth. Lots of people accidentally recycling their granny. I wonder how that could happen. That would be an interesting story. We had some interesting suggestions yesterday on things found in a recycling bin that shouldn't be there. How about the day I accidentally recycled gold? Oh, they're coming in very fast. The day I accidentally recycled myself. Oops, that's not a good thing. The day I accidentally recycled angrily. Apples. See, there's a lot you can add with just one word. These are brilliant suggestions. Miss Plunkett's class would like to recycle school. That day I accidentally recycled school. Nice try. That day I accidentally recycled water. Well done, guys. These are brilliant. Well, that was a lot of fun. Let's get started on today's lesson. What do we want you to do today? Well, this whole week, we would like you to help us spring clean Scotland. To do that, you're going to find a local place to look after for this week, and hopefully longer. It could be a park that you like to play in. Maybe it's your street outside your school. Maybe it's part of a local woodland. Maybe it's part of your walk to school that you really think could use a bit of attention. Think about how you'd like to look after that place, and then take a photo of your adopted place and send the photo to us, telling us why you think it's important to keep it beautiful, and you can submit it to our competition for this week's lesson. Your photograph could end up in our first ever Keep Scotland Beautiful calendar, as well as winning you £25. And all photographs submitted by 2 p.m. on Thursday can be included in our assembly on Friday, when we'll get to share all the beautiful places that we're taking care of. Spring clean your adopted place and surrounding area by organizing a litter pick, and record how many bags of litter you collect. You can enter that into our litter league, and whoever collects the most litter will be crowned regional or even national litter league champions. Full details are in the resource on our webpage, and all your teachers have the link to that. So that is what we'd like you to do this week. Today, we're going to be tidying up our digital environment. So we'll know all about cleaning up the outside environment, but did you know that we can actually spring clean our lives online as well? We're going to look at what information about you is available online and how to control what information other people can see. And we'll also talk about how to report issues that you encounter online, because that's very important too. And now I'd love to welcome our guest speaker today. We're joined by Dr. Yvonne Skipper, who is a senior lecturer in psychology at the University of Glasgow, where she does researches on social influences of learning, and also about how a sense of belonging can help your mental health and well-being. She also helped start Project Real, which helps young people recognize disinformation, and you might recognize her from our lesson on disinformation that we talked about earlier this year. So a big thank you to Yvonne for joining us today to tell us all about how to have a digital spring clean. Welcome.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here. Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit, as Catriona said, about how we can tidy up our digital environment. So I know you've been doing lots of good work on how we tidy up our parks and our spaces outside in the world, but today we're going to be talking about how you can tidy up online, the things that we see online. Okay, so today we are heading off a digital spring clean. So I have a question for you. I'm going to ask you if you do any of these things online, and I'm going to ask you to put your hands up if you do. So first question, is anybody in your class on social media? And what I mean here in terms of social media is social media like Facebook, Instagram, or X. So put your hand up if you're on any social media like that. Okay. Now I want you to put your hand up, hands down. I want you to put your hand up if you're on social media for videos. So things like YouTube or TikTok. So where you're watching videos or maybe posting your own videos. So put your hand up for that. Okay. And then the last one is online gaming. So put your hands up if you are doing any online gaming. All right. So I'm guessing that a lot of people Yes, thank you, Mrs. Connell, saying that certain ones are more popular than others, but probably a lot of people are doing some of these things online. So that means that you already have a digital footprint, which means you're already posting information about yourself online. And when you're using these apps, you might be sharing some information. So it's pretty obvious if you make a YouTube video and you talk on it, then it's very clear that's your personal information because everybody can see your face, they can hear your voice, and you're telling them things maybe about yourself or things you like or things you don't like. But also you might be sharing information about yourself when you comment on other people's videos. So the things you type, that might tell them something about you, or even the things you like, because social media is following the things you like. And when you like them or watch a video, it might recommend another one. So I like cat videos. I look at a cat video, I maybe like one, and then it will show me another cat video. So that's again information about me, which social media is using. You might share personal details online. You might share things about where you go to school. You might even share your location. So you might have turned on your location. If you go to the cinema, you might tag yourself, I'm at the cinema at the moment, or I'm at McDonald's, or I'm on my holidays. So you might tag yourself in terms of your location. And also you might tag things like what you've searched for. So you're not asking your computer to remember, but your computer will remember things you've searched for and then might make suggestions. So it knows I like cats. I've looked at some cat videos. It might suggest some other things I might like based on the things I've looked at before. So there's lots and lots of information available online. And sometimes that can be a good thing. It can be really helpful because it helps me to find things. I like cat videos. I get suggested more cat videos. But sometimes it might not be such a good thing to have lots of information about you available online. So I'd like you to just think for a minute, what could be bad about personal information? So information about you being online. I'm going to give you a little minute to think about this. What might be a bad thing if there was information about you online? Okay. So here is some of the things I thought about. You might have thought of some different things. People knowing where you live, your name, age, and email address. Yes. Hackers. Excellent. Yes. Some good points here. Here's some things I thought about as well is it might impact your reputation. So that means how people see you. So for example, I work at a university. So it's really important that people trust me. My students need to trust me to teach them the right things, and people need to trust my research to make decisions about their life. So if I posted lots and lots of things that weren't true, then people might not trust me so much. So it's really important that I think about my reputation, what people might think of me based on the things I might post online. It's also important to think about the future, because when we apply for jobs nowadays, people do quite often Google you, right? So they might have a little Google and they might see what they can find out about Yvonne Skipper. So if I posted something that I maybe thought was funny, you know, and then in a few years' time, I thought, well, actually, that's a bit embarrassing. Yeah, then it might affect the jobs that I could go for. I might be like, oh, it's a bit embarrassing that that's out there. So I might want to think about what sorts of things I'm sharing for that. People might pretend to be me. So if you put a lot of information about yourself online, a lot of photos, a lot of the things you like, a lot of images, it might mean that it would be quite easy for them to pretend to be you online, or pretend that they know you because they could tell you lots of things about yourself. So there's lots of different things which people can do with the information that we find online. And yeah, someone's saying they might make mean comments. Yeah, you know, sometimes people aren't very nice online. And you might be open to hackers and scammers. That's an excellent point there from Mrs. Roberts' class. So there are lots of good things about being online. It's a really fun space. We can learn new things. We can try out what it's like to be different people. We can connect with our friends. We can learn. We can watch funny cat videos. But we've got to think about how much information about us is available online. So I want to ask you a question. This is a yes or no question. For the apps you use online, so let's say you're online gaming or you're on Twitter or you're on Facebook or Instagram, do you know how much of your own information can be seen by your friends? So the people you actually know, the people you have added, the people that you actually, you know them and you have said, yes, you can look at my profile. Do you know how much of your information can be seen by your friends? Put your hands up if you do know, and leave your hands down if you don't know. Okay, so teachers, could you maybe let me know roughly how many people? Is it about half or 3/4 of people who know, or do people not really know about this? Most said no, they don't know. Okay, thank you, Miss Plunkett. Oh, okay, Miss Bromley said a lot of the students don't know about this. Okay, 3 out of 14 know. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Connell. About half in Miss Hunter's class. Okay. Oh, 80 or 90% in Miss Polito's class. Okay, quarter. Okay, my next question, most don't know there. How much, do you know how much information about you can be seen by people you don't know? So these are people you haven't added. They could be anybody in the whole wide world. And how much information about you would they be able to see? Do you know? So hands up if you know how much they could see, and hands up if you don't know how much they could see. Sorry, hands up if you do know. Hands down if you don't know. Okay, more people know about this. So 16 out of 23. About 50% know. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Connell's class. Not many know in Miss Hunter's class. Okay, about a quarter from Miss Roberts' class. Okay, Miss Bromley's not knowing about that. Okay, that's fine. This is an important thing to think about, because most apps have a setting which allows you to decide how much the world can see and how much can be seen by your friends, and sometimes even how much you can see. So sometimes you can put things up that are just for you, sometimes for your friends, and sometimes for the world. And this is a really good thing to look at. So what I'm going to suggest at the end, we'll go through this, but if you're not sure, maybe at the end of the session, go on, maybe ask a friend to help you, or a teacher, or one of your parents, or a sibling, and just try and work out how much information about you is available to the world and how much is available just to your friends, because that's really important. You maybe don't mind your friends seeing some things, but you don't want the world to see them. So that's one way in which you can tidy up your digital footprint. So I've got a couple of social media profiles for you to look at now. And I want you to look at them and think about what you might be able to learn about these people from their profiles, and how other people might use that information. Okay, so I want you to think about what you would be able to know about this person from their profile, and how the information could be used. Oops, sorry. So here's our first one. And you can see there's a picture, and you can see her posts and her followers. But there's nothing else here. There's nothing to tell you her real name. There's nothing to tell you where she lives. So it would be quite hard, I think, to know much about this person from their profile. It's very locked down. There's not a lot of information, and you can follow her to see her photos and videos. And usually what this means is that when somebody would click follow, she would get a notification, and she would either allow the person to follow them, which would then open up all her pictures and her content, or she could say no if she didn't know them. So you can see this is an account that's been locked down, which means that only the people that she knows and trusts can follow her. And you can see she's got lots of people following still. So she is still, you know, she's got lots of friends, she's got lots of people following her, but she's deciding who can see all that content. Okay, here's another one. This is madlad2329. And here's some information about this person. So I'd like to give you a little bit of time in your classrooms to have a discussion about what you might be able to learn about this person from their social media profile. And I'm going to put a link in the chat. So if you would like to, teachers, you can open this link, and it will allow you to click on some of the information about this person. So it doesn't give you a lot more, but if you want to click, you can actually click on the pictures as well, and they'll give you a bit more information. So have a look at these and think about what you might be able to learn about this person from their profile. And then if you'd like to put it in the chat, that would be great. He likes buses, gaming, and graffiti. Yep, yep. That's probably nothing we need to worry about too much. We can see what he looks like. Yep, he might have a bus pass. Yep. Maybe he's the one who did the graffiti. That's a really good point. Yeah, maybe he's actually done the graffiti so he could get himself in trouble. Yes, that's a really, really good point there, Mrs. Connell's class. Someone might recognize the house, because if you look at this picture here, you could see down the road. So you might be like, oh, I know where that is because I know this shop here, or I know where that is. So it might allow you to guess where he's living if we knew the area well. Yeah, because we could look at the graffiti and we might think we've seen that on a walk. Again, we could clean it up if we're doing spring clean. We might look at the road and that might help us to guess where he lives. Yep, first bus is run in Scotland. Yep, so he's probably from Scotland. Yep. The town is on the side of the bus. Yep, exactly. So actually, if you do open this and you do click it, he says, oh, the number 5 bus is cancelled again and I have to walk home. So that would tell you he's getting the number 5 bus. So that might be another thing that you could learn, which bus he's getting to and from school. This is a clever one, Mrs. Dawson's class. His name might start with ER. So yeah, well, that might be his initials. You might know where the graffiti is, so you might know where he is. Yeah, some really good points here. So there's lots and lots of, yeah, someone might recognize the tag. Yeah. So you can see that this person's giving up a little bit more information about himself, probably most to do with location. So we might be able to guess where he might live in this one. Okay, and then I've got one more for you here. And this is Ria. You can see she's got a lot more information available. And again, I'm going to put a link in the chat. So if you would like to, you can have a go at clicking the pictures again, and you can get a little bit more information, because what the game is here, we don't have time to do it fully today, but you might want to play it later, is you can see if you can guess Ria's password. So if you click the link on Ria's in the chat, and then if you click login, you can try different passwords and see if you can guess Ria's password, because she's giving out lots of information about the things she loves in her profile. So what things might we learn about Ria from her profile? Photo of where she lives and the gym she attends. Yep, so if you knew where this field was, you might be able to guess where she lives or where she might be walking her dog. And if you were into gymnastics, you might think, oh, that's the such and such gym, that's just down the road. So you might know where she lives. You might be able to guess that. Yep. So again, we've got location questions. You might recognize the dog. That's a really good point. Yes. You might be able to recognize her dog. Yeah, that's a really good point. So she likes gymnastics. Yep, she really likes it because it's even in her username. Her name might be Ria. Yep. We can see where she goes for gymnastics, what she looks like. Yep, we can see lots of pictures of her. She's even posted pictures of her family and friends. So again, when you're posting pictures of other people, remember, it's not just you're posting information about, it's your friends as well. We've got some points about her being a national champion. So you might be able to look her up in the newspaper and find those pictures of her. Yeah, what she looks like and what her friends look like. Yeah, so you can see Ria's giving quite a lot of information here. And as I said, if you would like to, when we finish this session, you can click on login and you can see if you can guess Ria's password. So you might want to look at the things she loves the most. You might want to look at some of her posts and see if you can guess the password. So again, sometimes by giving out information, we might inadvertently be giving out information that helps people to access our accounts. So we might be telling them things like our pets' names, things we enjoy, our favorite cartoon characters, these sorts of things that are sometimes used as security questions. So if you'd like to have a go at that, when we finish, then you can play along. And if anybody will, I can tell you that I'll tell the teachers the password. But if anybody would like to play the game, then you're very welcome to do that. I just don't want us to run out of time today. Okay. So it's really important for all the online apps that you're using to think about your security settings. So remember, our first profile that we saw was locked down. There was no information about that person. You don't know. I mean, you know what she looks like. But other than that, you don't know her name, you don't know where she lives, you don't know her pets, you don't know her hobbies. It's all very hidden. And that would be what the world would see. But then you can set it up so that when they want to be your friend, you get a notification, you click yes, and then that information is shared with them. So one thing you can do is think about how you can keep your information private so that only the people you want to see it are seeing that information. I have a question now, and it's a little bit based on Ria. She posted some pictures with her friends in it. What do you think you should do if you want to share photos or videos or information that includes other people? Should you just go ahead and do it if you like it? What sorts of things might you do before you share information about other people? Ask them first. Yep, thank you, Miss Plunkett's class. Yep. Check with them. Get their permission. Thank you, Miss Bromley's class. Yep. Ask them. And make sure it's private. Yes, Mrs. Connell's class, because when you put it on your profile, they might have their profile as private, but your profile might be open to anybody. So they might have been very careful and then their picture might end up in lots of places. Yes, so that's a really good point. So checking if it's okay with them, because you might think it's a funny photo or a nice photo or a sweet photo, but they might not want it. So it's really important that we talk to other people and that we get their permission. And we keep them safe online as well. So we're protecting ourselves and we're protecting other people as well. So here's 3 things to think about before you share any information about other people. Or let them see it first. Yes, Miss Roberts' class, that's exactly right. Because it's all very well saying, can I share a photo? But it might be a very specific photo that you might want to share. So yes, you should definitely get them to look at it first. So you should only share if you have permission. You should ask somebody first, and you should ask about that specific photo. Just because they said it was okay yesterday doesn't mean it's okay today. Just because they said it was okay for that video doesn't mean it's okay for this video. So we should always ask permission. We should only share things if they're true. We don't want to be sharing things that aren't true, and we should only share things that are kind as well. So we shouldn't be sharing things that are unkind. And we should always check with other people before we share. And that's your friends, but it's also your family. Your mum might not want a photo of her online, or your dad, or your sister, or your brother. I don't think your dog can give their consent. I think the dog's probably happy, but you should always check with other people before you share. Mrs. Connell's class is saying we ask permission from families before we share on blogs. Yep, so that's a really good thing too. So it's not just you. You might need to ask somebody's parents if it's okay to share. For example, the school would need to ask your mum and dad or your guardians before they share things. And also we can cover and blur out faces. So if one person doesn't want to be shown in a photo, that's okay. There's ways you can blur their face, or you could put a sticker on it. So you don't need to get rid of the whole photo, but that one person's face can't be seen. So that's another thing to think about, is what you could do if you still wanted to use the photo. How could you make it so that you can still use it? Okay, so hopefully most of the things we see online are funny and sweet and nice, but sometimes you might see things that you don't like when you're online. And it's important to know what you can do in those situations, because like when you see litter, you can just leave the litter lying on the ground for everybody else to look at, or you can litter pick. And the same when we're online, we can see things that we don't like, and we can try to make it a better online space for other people. So yeah, Mrs. Team's class is saying report it. Yes, if you see something you don't like online, you can report it. A lot of social media sites have a report button, and that's your way of helping keep other people safe. You might report something that isn't true, something that isn't kind, something that you don't want to see. So reporting it to social media is a really good thing to do. Are there any other things you could do if you saw something you didn't like online? Mm-hmm. Yes. Report it and talk to an adult you trust. Yeah, you can talk to your mum and dad, you can talk to your teacher, you can talk to somebody. It's really important that if you see things you don't like online, you talk to somebody, because they can help you to report it, they can help you to fix it. So it's really, really important to talk to somebody if you see things that you don't like online. Yes, you can also block the user. That's really good, Ms. Bromley's class. You can block it so you don't see any more of their content. So you don't have to, you don't need to see it anymore from that person. And yeah, don't like or share it because then more people will see it. Yeah, so that's exactly right. So you can block it on the site, you can report it to the site, and you can talk to a person in the real world as well. So if there's something you don't like, it's really, really important that you talk to somebody about it and they can help you to manage that. So you can talk to an adult you trust. You can report on the app or the website, or if it's something that you really think is important, then there are different websites you can use to report harmful content. But the most important thing here is not to be afraid to talk about it, okay? Anything you see online, if you're not happy about it, the best thing to do is to talk to somebody. That's the quickest way to fix it, and they'll be able to help you to find a way to deal with it properly, okay? So the most important thing is to talk to somebody that you trust if you see something you don't like online. So, some things to take away from this. We can tidy up our real environment by not dropping litter when we're walking around the spaces we love, and by picking up litter if we see it that other people has dropped. And online, we can do exactly the same thing. Our online environment can be a beautiful, safe place full of funny and interesting things, or it can have litter, it can have trash, it can have false information, it can have mean comments and things like that. So online, we have a job to do as well, where we can pick up the litter. So we can not litter ourselves. We can think about what we share about ourselves and about our friends and about other people. And we can also litter pick. So we pick up the litter by reporting it to other people, by blocking accounts, and by making sure that we know what to do if we see things that we don't like online. So thank you very much for your attention today. We're going to ask you now to think a little bit about the things you have online. So maybe look at your accounts, think about how you can make them private, and think about if you know how to report things and block on different websites. So have a little look at the websites you're using and ask a teacher or a friend to help you out with that. But thank you very much, and I will pass you back on to Catriona.
That was brilliant. Thank you so much for that. We learned a whole lot about how to keep ourselves safe online, and a lot of good thoughts there about what we can do if we see something that we think is wrong or upsetting or shouldn't be there. So I hope today you have learned from Yvonne what information is available about you online. There's a surprising amount, even if you don't use social media all that much, and how to control what information is available that people can see about you, and how to report issues that you encounter online. So we hope you feel inspired by today's lesson, and we would like you to use what you've learned to have a digital spring clean. There's a resource available on our website to help you with this. And also, I wanted to mention that we will share the link to the profiles that Yvonne shared so that you can have a try at guessing the password after the lesson. And my colleague Nicola has put the link to where the recording will be and where the resources will all be as well. So if you want to find those after our lesson today, they'll be available there. We'll be looking forward to seeing all of your amazing work during the week and to showcase it during Friday's assembly, including photos of you doing your digital spring cleans. and your real spring cleans too. So please make sure that all of your work is sent in by 2 p.m. on Thursday if you'd like it to be included in our Friday assembly. And also please share anything that you're doing for Spring Clean Week on social media or with us at our email address on the screen there, and we'll share your posts from public accounts in our assembly. We'd also very much value your feedback on our live lessons. So please, if you can, educators and pupils, please complete this very short feedback form to tell us what you think about what we've done today, what you enjoyed, and what you'd like to see more of. And my colleague Nicola has also put the link in the chat there too. Thank you so much for that. Tomorrow, we will be using science and maths to help us follow the travels of a crisp packet. So make sure that you know how to calculate a percentage ahead of tomorrow's lesson. And it would also be helpful to have a calculator handy if you can, if you're going to join us tomorrow morning. Huge thank you to Dr. Skipper, to educators, and to all of you pupils too in your schools for joining us today. And thank you so much. And we'll see you again tomorrow. That's all we have time for today. So bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.